What is going on? Where is my camera? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay.
That's great. All right. Where's my camera? How come I cannot switch this thing at all? Pretty cool. Oh, because I had the wrong button. Hey, there we are. How's
Hello.
it going? Hey,
Good, how are
Jess.
you?
I'm great. So everybody, this is Jess Archer. We got a special guest on the show, a different time. It's actually still 9 a.m. East. 9 a.m. just not Eastern,
It is
right?
true. Yeah, it
It's
is
9
9
a.m.
a.m. right now for me.
What part of you're in Australia? What part of Australia are you?
In Brisbane, Australia. So on the never eat soggy Weet-Bix, the east coast.
That's how my brain does the same thing.
What's your one though? Because yours wouldn't be Weet-Bix, right?
My what?
So like my one is never eat soggy Weet-Bix. Is the like north,
Oh,
east, south, west.
I do the news thing. North, east, west, south. I cross over.
Ah,
News.
never eat. But that's like, oh right, I get you. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you have Weet-Bix? Do you know what
I don't
Weet-Bix
know
are?
what that is. No.
Yeah, I think it's like it's an Aussie breakfast cereal. Like it's basically a bar of, I guess, wheat, that you put milk and sugar or banana or whatever you like on it, and yeah, it's tasty.
That sounds new. I
But
think we
that's why the
call
thing is, never eat soggy Weet-Bix because if you leave the milk on too long, they go really soggy and it turns almost into like almost like wet cardboard soup. Some people really like it. I like my Weet-Bix to have a little bit of crunch, but not like too much.
no. Well, I mean, I don't have I can't form an opinion yet.
Yeah,
When the
you probably had
toilet,
something very similar. I'm assuming.
I mean, we have like, oh, what's it called? If it's the same thing. I mean, there's stuff like wheat, crunchy wheat stuff that,
Yeah,
stuff like
like
that.
no
Whatever.
flavor. It's like BYO flavor.
Yeah. Yeah, very
Yeah,
bland, very not
yeah.
spicy, not spicy at all.
Not spicy, no, no.
Right. So those that may not know, Jess is she works at Laravel, and
I do.
you are one of the first employee. We were saying this. You were the first one that Taylor ever hired, ever talked to
Mm-hmm.
about. No, not really.
No.
Top 10, I think you said.
Top 10, yes. I was in the original 10. Taylor hired a few people at like the same time. So Tim, me, and Joe, I think all came in like around the same time. So it's a little bit confusing as to like who's technically first there. So I just say top 10.
I remember because you had done a couple talks. So, all right, we got to go back just a little bit. Go back to India a little
Sure.
bit. Well, I
Okay.
met you for the first time in India. You were
Which
there
is
eating
a
dinner.
wild sentence in itself, right? Like I'm from Australia,
Right.
you're from the US, but we met for the
Yeah.
first time in a third country because why not?
In a different continent altogether, right?
Different continent altogether. It's crazy how many times that happens though in the Laravel community. Like most of my friends, a lot of them I've only ever met in like a third country that's not either of our home countries, which again, just I don't know. I
Cool.
always enjoy
Super
those
cool.
little things.
I saw you and I met you, and then the next day we were talking. We were in that little area in the hotel. It was very
The
nice.
hotel, yeah.
And I was just like, I got to stop right here and just let you know. I'm like fanboying. I'm just like carrying on casual conversation like it's no big deal. But I'm like, on the inside, I'm like, I'm talking to Jess Archer. Like I still am like very impressed with your work, the stuff you've done at
Thank
Laravel
you.
from even way back when, and the stuff that you're doing now. And I think you've kind of moved from, you were doing night watch stuff and you're still doing that a tad, but you're more in the cloud side of things. Is that right?
I mean, I'm still head of Nightwatch,
Mhm.
and we still do a bunch of stuff on Nightwatch. At the moment, we're kind of helping Cloud a little bit with some observability related things because that is kind of my team's
Okay.
speciality.
Yep.
But yeah,
Yeah, lots of data every second. Like every second we're talking around. Do you know the number? Like how many entries or how many requests are coming in?
so for my India talk, I got the live numbers, and I will get some fresh numbers before my talk in Japan. But at the time of India, it was 1,000 events per second on average, with spikes higher than that. I didn't go and measure the spikes. And we had ingested at the time over 280 billion. We've now easily crossed 300 billion. That's billion with a B, which still blows my mind to have like databases and systems that have this level of throughput. We have an individual table. So one table in one region that has 35 billion rows in just that one table. And that table only stores data for 90 days. It's got like a TTL on it. So 90 days worth of data in one table was 35 billion rows. I don't remember the stats on how much it was in gigabytes, both compressed and uncompressed, but it was just brain melting numbers from, not that long ago, when like even having 1 million rows in a database was like, "Ooh, that's big."
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
Now
million,
it's like,
1,000 times,
yeah.
100 million times 100 million or something. It's insane.
The difference between 1 million and 1 billion is, I still don't think I have fully like internalized what it actually is, but I have definitely watched things go, and it's like, oh, you hit 1 million really quickly, and then it's like ages before you get to a
Yeah.
billion. So
So
yeah.
that stuff, like the algorithms know that I'm a software engineer or whatever, because I get these, like, here's the blueprints for like Netflix, like their whole
Oh yeah.
architecture of, and so like those things, like how do like global scalability with redundancy and low downtimes and and scalability and all this stuff has always intrigued me. And like it's like this is serious business stuff. So that's very big scale. That's big scale stuff. That's probably one of the biggest scale, like the most amounts of data of any Laravel project, I would imagine. Laravel, not Laravel project necessarily, but from Laravel Holdings LLC or
Yeah, I
whatever.
mean, we've got, Forge and Cloud that have their own mind melting stats in terms of, like data throughput and all these other different types of things that I don't know off the top of my head. But in terms of like database tables, like, yeah, nothing even comes close to Nightwatch in terms of like how big our database is.
That's pretty cool. Very cool. And well done. Good job. Thank you for all your hard work. We use Nightwatch all the time. I get notifications and I cuss at them. And then I think of you, and then I'm like, all right, I'll be nice and I'll fix the bugs or tell Claude to fix the bugs. Actually, the MCP server integration thing,
Yeah.
that's clutch. That is one of my favorite cool things. That is so awesome.
I love it deeply as well. I mean, we use Nightwatch to monitor Nightwatch. So our staging environment monitors production and vice versa. And yeah, just being able to, because, AI is kind of, I think, in most people's workflows now. And so being able to like not have to go copy paste stuff, like we had copy to markdown, but now it's just like, hey,
Oh, I
go
mean,
find
I'll
this
say
issue and help me out with
prioritize.
it.
We'll find all of them. Give me the priority of the things that needs to be
Yeah.
fixed now, and just let's work on that. Do the PRs because it knows where all the other branches are, or all of the other projects on my computer. So it's like it just goes
Yeah.
and does everything. And very smart, very good stuff. A couple of
Yeah,
people
definitely
in
can't take like all the credit for Nightwatch, by the way. I want to make sure I give a huge shout out to my team as well that
the team you
makes
put
it all
together.
possible.
Just saying, just saying.
My amazing team.
Yep. No, shout out to everybody. Laravel, I mean, they're just blowing up. It's going crazy, and it's awesome to see. It's awesome,
I
and
still
it's
can't
awesome.
believe I work at Laravel.
No, right? Like that's
So,
dope,
like,
man.
I'll see my email address sometimes, and it's like jess@laravel.com, and I still have moments of like pinch me, like my
How
name
long?
at laravel.com. Crazy.
It's
I
been
just had my 4-year anniversary,
wow. Congratulations.
so yeah,
Good.
it still blows my
Happy
mind.
anniversary.
Sorry.
Today, I said happy anniversary.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. We got a couple messages here. We'll get to those in a second. It's not, well, there's one. This is from Mr. Jeffrey, who happens to be related to me. That's my dad. He said, you're a bit soft. I don't know if he means me or if he means you, so you need to specify. My volume's like always the same. I hear you just fine, so that's
You
not
okay?
productive, Dad. There's a guy named Josh Hanley.
Josh Hanley, hello.
I think
I
I've heard this
played
name before.
I played Lord of the Rings board game with him like last week, maybe, like in person. It was fun with
Yeah,
Stephen Reese Carter and my partner Lisa. It
very
was
cool.
amazing.
Very cool. Josh, welcome. First time I'm seeing you here, and this is a new time, so we're gonna draw a different kind of audience, I think, today than normal. But we'll restream this anyway, or it'll be on the channel. And we got Tilly the coder. Tilly,
Hey, Tilly.
Tilly is she messaged me a bunch of times. I am soft. All right, so I can turn myself up here. Thank you for confirming. Actually, that's about as loud as I get. I can just get closer if that helps.
That doesn't change anything, actually. Do you have the right mic
Really?
selected?
Oh,
Yeah, like I expected to get like radio voice when you went close in, but I didn't get like radio voice. Try again. Oh, now I've got no sound from you. I can't hear you at all. Oh, you're muted. You're doing that on.
I'm muted. I hit the button to see which one. All right, so
I just saw the mute thing.
it is using my MacBook Pro. I just saw that, and I cannot switch it without stopping recording. So I'll just speak into the mic on the computer instead. So there we go. Sorry about that, folks.
Unfortunate. I mean, it sounds good to me, so it's not.
Well, now that I know that, I'll get rid of this thing. Don't need that anymore. Where were we? So Tilly's done some cool plugins and stuff. She gets advice and like she messages me a bunch of times about like are you working on this plugin, or is this one that, because there's some that we are reserving like for ourselves to build, and we'll talk about plugins and all that stuff soon, or a bit more deeply in a bit. But no, she's done a bunch of cool stuff, and welcome aboard. I think she's speaking to, I think they announced, at Laravel Live UK. You can let me know if it's wrong or not, but I think that I saw that someplace. So congrats on that, if that's true. Josh said, yep, Shane, you're a bit soft. I've never been called that before. And then he said, yeah, was good fun. So I think he's referring to the games.
To the games, yeah.
Dad's now turning up his hearing aids. There you go.
Is that legitimately your dad?
Yeah. Yeah, actually.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Super cool.
Old man winter, old man time, whatever he is, Mr. Jeffrey. Tilly says one thing that'd be cool is an API for Nightwatch.
I have had that a few times. The MCP kind of gives you a little bit of, an API, agent API, but not like obviously like a human, like, well, not human, but like, I know what you mean. I think that would also be a cool idea. We just need to make sure, like, the thing with Nightwatch is anytime you query like the data, it's like a lot of data to query. And so the thing that scares me about APIs is like we'd have to like put in all sorts of rate limits and stuff, because if a robot can query it, it could like really hammer things. There's kind of limits to how much like humans legitimately using it can run queries. But yeah, we can definitely do it. It's just an extra consideration, especially
to think about
having first-hand experience from Forge's API, because we use Nightwatch to monitor Forge, and its API is like just gets hammered. So yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would ask about like how that's load balance. Is that separate? I don't know how much you can talk about with any of that stuff or whatever, but that stuff's interesting.
I can talk about how Nightwatch is all set up.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
I give talks on how Nightwatch is set up. So if you have like more in-depth questions about it, then.
Well, I know we talked a little bit about ClickHouse. Is that what that's called? The service you guys are using? And what you were telling me. So it's a column based instead of row based, or the query columns instead of rows, or you were explaining that to me.
Yeah. So most, like, there's generally two classes of databases, probably more, but the two main ones, at least that I'm familiar with, are transactional databases and analytical databases. And the kind of acronyms are OLTP and OLAP. OLTP, or transactional databases, tend to store data in rows. So the whole row lives together on disk, then the next row, then the next row. So when you want to look up one row, all the data for that row lives together. It's fantastic at looking up that row, updating that row, all that. When you want to aggregate data, though, like a lot of rows, and you just want to aggregate like one column, it gets a bit trickier when you store it by row, because you've got to skip over all this irrelevant data, grab that one column, and then keep scanning over until you get the next column that you care for from the next row. So analytical databases typically store the data in columns. So row 1 from column 1, and then row 2 from column 1, etc., like all live in one file effectively. And then the next column, all of the rows for that column all live in a dedicated file, which makes it way easier to just like scan into that one column when you want to aggregate and get an average or a P95 or whatever. So yeah, analytical databases tend to store in columns. We use a database called ClickHouse, which is, it's kind of similar to Laravel in that it's an open source database. It has fantastic documentation, and then they have like a managed service. You can, like, their ClickHouse Cloud, like a managed service. It's actually called ClickHouse Cloud. So we've got Laravel Cloud. Yeah, it's fantastic. So we can run it locally on our local dev machines in a Docker container. We can see all the source code. But then when we host it, we can use a managed service and let the experts kind of keep it running for us. Yeah.
So that's like, to me, it's very, it's like such a backwards way of thinking, or just totally different than relational database stuff. And then on top of that, you're in Australia and people probably drive on the wrong sides of the roads and get punched by kangaroos and eat koala bears with, I don't know what you guys, it's like, wow, totally different. Everything's different. But I think that's very, and you started with relational database stuff. So you transitioned to this for Laravel 4 work and started researching a while ago and like adopting and really becoming the expert you are on this because of the job.
It's a whole different way of thinking. We have this term we call MySQL brain, which really is more like transactional database brain, where sometimes you can like look at a problem, you know, you want to make a query fast or a query certain data. And if you think about the problem like you would with a transactional database, you'll end up probably shooting yourself in the foot with a analytical database. So we have to use ClickHouse brain instead of MySQL brain. And it really is, like, in many cases, a fundamentally different way of thinking about the data. You're really thinking about how the data is stored on disk. That becomes a lot more apparent when you've got that much scale. So you're thinking about how it's sorted, how it's indexed. All of that stuff becomes super important. Really fun though. Like, ClickHouse has all these different table engines that let you do really interesting tricks to make things faster. Like, it has aggregate tables that will aggregate data for you, but it's got all these different types. And depending on what challenge you're trying to solve, different ones, like, just, yeah, solve interesting problems in really interesting ways. It's designed to, like, basically only ever insert data and read data. You never want to, like, delete or update data. It can do it, but it's not optimized for it because it's not a transactional database.
Interesting. Right.
There's all these approaches you can use, though, where a delete or an update is actually just a new insert that kind of like replaces the old one or replaces parts of the old one. So it's always writing forward. And yeah, it means you can then put all of that data, like updates, deletes, everything can kind of go on like an event stream because everything is just like new rows to insert. So that means you can buffer it all up because ClickHouse also doesn't want you to insert one row at a time. It wants you to insert like at least 10,000 rows per insert. Because every insert creates a separate like folder on disk with new columns, every single insert. And it later on in the background starts merging those pieces together into, you know, bigger and bigger pieces. So yeah, there's just all these cool things. It's pretty fascinating, and it's really cool to see what it can do with a lot of data and how it can be so fast. But you still have to get the most out of it, you need to like deeply understand what it's doing so that you can let it do what it's best at. Which is true of any technology really, but I've just found with ClickHouse in particular, it's, yeah, really important to know when you've got that amount of data.
It's so nerdy. I love it. Like last time we talked about this, I wanted to dig into it, and now you're giving me more like, I want to understand this. I want to start thinking, like, to me, it's not even like it may or may not use this ever, but it's like to teach my brain to think about things differently. You can apply that philosophy, you know, to other things in your life, you know, or in other you're working on and stuff. That's very interesting. Very good. A couple people here have chimed in. Tilly is not speaking at Laravel Live UK.
Oh.
Not confirmed, but she did mention, I thought I saw it somewhere. I lost it, but she is speaking at Laravel London or something like that. So I was confused. Sorry about that. Someone said, I don't even know if this is relevant. What do we what do we got here? Laravel team always breaks the unbreakable obstacles and doesn't care about the impossible, which is really amazing. I agree. Hickam Tab Tech.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Hickam Tab Tech.
Um, and then my dad says it is more like a crosstab. Do you know what crosstabs are?
I don't think so. No.
This is probably like back in like he started programming in the 70s on submarines in the Navy and all this stuff. Like,
cool.
Old school. You know,
he
was telling me like, you know, that he spent. Give me the stats, Dad. It was like $5,000 for like a 4 megabyte RAM something computer, like the whole computer, you know, in the early 80s or whatever it was. Until he wants to defend, the hill she'll die on is Australia does drive on the correct side of the road. That's helpful if I rent a car ever in Australia. So there you go. Wait, is it on the left then?
Correct. So we drive on the left-hand side of the road.
My correct is the right side. You drive on the left?
Yeah.
Never mind.
But I think it must be this. It's the same as. I assume it's the same as UK. I'm sure that's why we do it, because UK does it. I think it's like a Commonwealth country thing. Like most Commonwealth countries are on the left-hand side of the road, but everyone else is on the right-hand side. So I think the majority of the world is right-hand side of the road. So I think that's one thing where, look, when we kind of like figure out what's the best, you know, units of measure and what's the best, you know, units of temperature and what side of the road and all that, I think metric has to win, but I will concede on the driving on the road side of things, because the rest of the world, I think, it's probably less work for us to change than it is for the rest of the world to change.
I would defend temperatures easier in Fahrenheit. I have gotten better at Celsius, but and I've told this to, there was someone in Japan that we're starting to message some people in Japan on Twitter, and they're tweeting back. So it's kind of cool. Some of the other speakers and stuff. And she said something about, what is this in Fahrenheit, Celsius, whatever it was, or what is it in Fahrenheit? And I just said, Fahrenheit's easier for me. I saw this on a YouTube video not long ago, and it was like, it's like a temperature of like how hot things are. It's like you're basing your temperature 100, right, is where water boils, and 0 is where it freezes. Like, who cares what water is doing? Like, when do you judge your life based on what water is doing? Like, if I go outside and I feel like it's about 75% hot outside, it's 75 degrees, which is 25 Celsius, right?
What does 75% hot mean?
Well, at 100, I'm burning up. I don't want to go outside. At 0, it's too cold. I don't want to go outside, right? So it's like 50, that's average. I'm okay at 50. 50's not bad.
I see.
You know? Yeah. So it goes by you and not like water. I don't sit with
that
water.
That feels very subjective, though.
Well, yeah, it is, sure. And that's not like where it came from at all, but that's
okay.
Someone rationalized this. I've adopted it, and I'm trying to spread it around the world as much as I can.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I mean, I don't have a strong opinion on the Fahrenheit one. I think the metric one is the one that I feel very strongly about.
The which one?
Like metric versus imperial. I feel like that's pretty hard to defend, right?
I don't know. I 5,286 feet in a mile doesn't make sense. I get that. I just trained into that. Like, I just, inherited it, I guess. But yeah.
I do wish there was something between like a centimeter and a meter of because a foot is actually quite a good size for like a lot of things. And yeah, with metric, it's like it's a centimeter or it's like a meter, and it's like, where's the one in the middle?
Yeah, it gets weird. It gets weird. But you know what, Jess? That's the intro. That's the intro portion of the episode. Because we're not even here. We haven't even talked about what we're planning to do.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All night and day yesterday on working on. So for those that are normally not here, I do native PHP stuff, and so I invited Jess. We started talking about this back in India, I think. And then it was like one night you were like, I tried native PHP and I had problems. I'm like, we should figure out what's going on because I want you to be successful with that. So over the last month or so, there's been like a whole story behind the Jump app. So those that know, the Jump app is a way for native PHP. Like, one of our biggest things that we're trying to accomplish is like mass adoption. We want as many people, especially the Laravel community, to use native PHP. Why wouldn't we, right? And the local environment can be a pain in the rear to set up at times. And so, like, this is one thing where, like, there's other apps that do something similar. If we can figure this out, it'd be cool. The Jump app is a way that you can ideally just start a Laravel new and then composer require native PHP and run PHP Artisan native Jump. And you just have it on your phone. So you install the app, you scan a QR code, and bam, you're off to the races. You're building real native mobile apps, and very little downtime, essentially, or very little friction to get you into the ecosystem. Apple's a pain in the ass. I will say that. And Jess asked if she could cuss on the show, and absolutely she can cuss. We'll be doing that. But Apple sucks because we built out this whole thing. I spent months and months working on this thing, and I submitted to the App Store, and they're like, no, guideline 2.5.2, section B states. That's exactly the guideline because they keep bringing it back to me. So we originally were having the Jump app was you would run the command and it would zip up your Laravel directory. It would spin up a local server. When you scanned it, it would download the zip file to your phone. What's nice about that is that if you can disconnect from the Wi-Fi, you still have it stored on your phone. You can still like show clients or whatever. Also, we were doing it so like if you had a build on Bifrost, which is our SaaS app for doing the builds, you could just like download a build to your phone and preview it on different branches if somebody's building on a different branch and all that stuff. They do not want people downloading content that alters the original functionality of the application or the core functionality of the description of your app. And I argued in person, I argued on the phone maybe a dozen times with them about this. And like, what about all these other things? So we are actually it dawned on me one night, instead of downloading, if we just stream it over the network, that's not downloading, right?
Yeah.
And so they put a proof of concept together, and they came back with a not 2.5.2 section B guideline violation. It was something else. So we've gone back and forth over the last 4 or 6 weeks or so. And we're this close, actually. The last one they said, they were just like, are you planning on this being a paid app? And I said no. And so we'll see. Like, we've gone through the hurdles a few times. So hopefully this one actually gets out to the App Store. In the meantime, it's enabled a bunch of stuff. If you think about it, the way that we've got it, if it's streaming from your computer over your local network, then there's a lot of other cool things that you can do. It's some things that were broken before, very difficult to try to figure out, like hot module reloading, that we've been working on the last couple of days. It wasn't actually working for Inertia apps yesterday because I don't ever play with Inertia. The CSS changed for me, so like it should be fine, but that wasn't the case. So you pointed that out yesterday, and I think we're going to play with it today. I think we got some of those bugs fixed. So let's jump, Jess. You want to jump?
Let's jump.
Let's jump.
I want to jump.
Shirts. We need shirts. Let's jump.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Also,
so
like, it still blows my mind that like there's probably good reasons, but like the fact that you can't install whatever you want on your own phone with like Apple and to some extent Google, or at least that's like the way things are like looking like they're heading. Like I get the reasons, but also I want my device. My device is my device. If I want to install something on it,
it's not that you can't. So in their stipulation, and what they kept telling me, it was like, there's a couple of other ways you can go about it. You can have enterprise apps, and there's like different ways that you have to sign those apps, and you have to create an organization, and you can do anything you want to, essentially, because it's very limited in scope. When you're distributing through their marketplace or the App Store, they have different guidelines of what they will and will not allow for that.
Which is fine, but they don't have a good way of like letting you just download. Like with Android, you can download an APK, so like it kind of makes everything fine.
Yep.
Whereas Apple doesn't really have like an equivalent of download an APK file and install, right?
Is the other, it's not going to be an anonymous installation. You can't do that. But
yeah,
there are ways. Like, I mean, if you have the source code, right, you can just compile it and put it on your phone. That's not difficult. Test flight
and I get the security, like there is benefits in having this closed system that makes it harder for people to get scammed into running arbitrary APKs that, backdoor their phones. So like I get it, but I don't know. I feel like there needs to be an admin setting in all phones that's like, I know what I'm doing. Let me, walk into the fire.
What was the word you said yesterday that you were teaching me yesterday?
Which one?
Puzzles, fuzzies. What was it?
Oh, no wuckers.
Wuckas. That's it.
No wuckers.
No wuckas. What did that mean? It was something. Oh, because there was some word that I don't even know. We don't even use the word. No
Well,
fucking.
it's short for no wuckin furries.
No fucking
which
furries. No fucking
is
worries.
like which evolved from no fucking worries. So
Oh,
yeah.
I got it. I got it.
I know.
Right.
Yeah. It's weird. I'll I don't know. Swearing on,
You-
on recorded streams feels weird compared to like just on
I won't
private calls, but yeah.
He'll find it on his own. Big time. Big fan of the show, I'm sure. Yeah. No wuckas. Wuckas?
No wuckers.
No
I don't
wuckas.
actually really say no wuckers, but I do really appreciate that it exists.
I don't, obviously for obvious reasons, but I'm going to start. I'm going to
Cool.
try to. I was trying to think of it earlier today, so now I got it. All right, no wuckas.
No wuckers.
No wuckas. Thanks. You want to share your screen? You want to do this?
Yeah. Let's do it.
We're going to do it.
Alrighty. I will.
For those that don't know, I have prepped Jess a bit, but she really very, very little bits. She has really just done a brand new Laravel installation, and it's what was the flavor you chose here?
So I have installed the Vue starter kit, the Vue Laravel starter kit. I've literally just did an init commit with that, and so since then, all I have done is install a dev branch of native PHP mobile. That's literally the only thing that has happened in this Laravel project. So otherwise, it is a completely stock standard Laravel project. I also figured out, with your help, how to get my phone screen, on my computer, which is kind of wild. So I have an Android phone. In case that's relevant, but yeah, this is my phone screen on the right, my literal phone screen over here, and yeah, let's do this.
So and this is the version 2 or beta version of Jump. So this is not ready right now publicly on the App Store. It is fully built and ready to go. We're just waiting for Apple to give us the green light, ideally, and then we'll roll everything out simultaneously. Because there's some changes. You're using a dev branch on native PHP as well. That's going to support this better and all that stuff. So yeah, so this is the Jump app.
Mine's on the Play Store though, because it's Android, obviously. I'm assuming Play Store's not giving you anywhere near as much grief on.
No, they're fine. They were fine with what we had before. And this is I put you on a there's different testing tracks or like staging environments, essentially, different groups of people you can allow to test things, and I put you on that. So it's not our public published version of it right now, because we would have to update native PHP with these changes. And we have there's a few thousand. I just looked, we hit 1,800 downloads on Android, and I think we just crossed 1,300 on iOS. So we got a few thousand people using the app. So we don't want to break the thing that's not really working fully, you know what I mean? And we don't want to have to roll it out twice if they do it, and then we have to, you know what I mean? Let's just wait for what Apple says and push it out at the same time. So yeah, so you've got on the side, you've got some code, and I think we can just do we have to start for Vue, it would be npm run dev, and then we're going to run the jump commands.
So I'll run npm run dev, and then another terminal, I'll run PHP artisan native jump.
Yeah, and if you ever run the install command, you can just do /native jump. We provide an alias.
Nice.
So you don't have to type it all out.
Well, I mean, I also have, I guess, a native jump.
Yeah.
Because I have my little shell aliases, but yeah.
I do it a billion times a day. It's just NJ. NJ. I just say do it to Claude, and it just does it, you know? And your line height. Say again?
Yes, my line height is crazy. Yeah, let me know when you're ready for me to scan the QR code.
I'm ready.
I had to clean my desk. my entire desk because I realized that like pointing my camera at my screen and my screen is showing up here means like, so yeah, I cleaned up
Yep.
this morning.
Thanks. Welcome.
Are you like keen for like feedback on things as we go as well?
Absolutely. I will not be writing any of it down though.
Okay. I'm
But it's
confused about this like active scanning thing. Like it says active scanning and it's got this like progress bar, but like, is that just like just
cool.
for fun right now?
I will show you that that is actually gone in the next builds. And instead,
Ah,
we've got this playground. So the
okay.
playground is actually a Laravel application that has like a bunch of native features baked into it. So you can actually like test it out and see like the code behind it and like the feedback
That's
it gives you.
brilliant. So you can actually kind of just install it on your phone and play around and go like, actually, yeah, this is something I want to,
Yep.
invest some more time into and install and all that. That's really cool. All right.
So
I
we
will
like,
scan
yep.
QR code. So I'm going to hit scan
We see your dirty
and there
desk.
it goes.
Oh,
Yep. So you
hey,
don't see much of it, but it was enough that, yeah, I cleaned it.
there you
So
go.
this blew my mind yesterday that we've got a Laravel app on my phone. Like, I don't know. That blows my mind. Like literally on my phone. Shake detected. What do I want to do? Nothing.
Cancel. So that was an old remnant. Actually, that was one of the first things I was making it so you could just shake to exit instead of
Oh, to
like
exit
this.
it. Yeah, cool.
So that's funny that it's still in there. I forgot about that. So usually my phone's next to me, just sitting on the desk when I'm developing stuff, and I'm not holding it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's
Alrighty.
cool. I think that's there's a lot that's gone into this, I think, to get to this point, but I'm glad you enjoy that you have a real app on your phone from Laravel, right?
It's crazy. It still blows my mind. Like it's a PHP app. It's the starter kit that I've seen, a million times on my computer, but seeing it on my phone inside like a native app, I don't know. It's
Yep.
it's impressive.
And what's cool, I think the next couple bits that we're going to go over is getting it to do some real native stuff. Like we're just going to do some very light APIs. I think we'll try to like turn your flashlight on. I think that'd be cool to like.
That's cool. Okay.
That's such
Yes,
a
please.
native thing, right? You can't do that at all from the. You can do camera from the web. You can do location from the
Okay.
web. You can't do the flashlight, right?
Now I have
But I
like no mobile app experience whatsoever, by the way. Like I've never built a mobile app. I've built like a PWA that is basically didn't do any native app. It was just so that I could have an icon on my home screen to like go to a web app. So I'm really excited to actually unlock like all these new features that I can build into apps. I'm really excited.
I will say it is very like ClickHouse brain. It is a different way of thinking. You do have to
Okay.
think about things differently, and it does take time. And our docs are very. I was looking at them today. I was like, "Gee, there's so much here," and there's still like stuff that we know that we need to add in and correct and update and whatever. But it's a different way of thinking because it's a compiled thing, right? It's not. We still have PHP that will take in a request and shell out a response, but it lives on the device. And so like when you deploy these or when you publish an app and your users download them, it's like thousands of servers running your application, not a single server with thousands of users. Each user's device is kind of like its own server. So the database
Right.
is
Yep.
there on their device, right? We have SQLite on their device. And so like where does real data live then? And you have to have an API to coordinate stuff. A lot of different nuances in the mobile world. So
I would love to pick your brain at some point. So I built like a to-do app because everyone builds a to-do app. It's now one I've used for so many years. Like I still run it myself. And I would love to figure out how to like kind of have it work offline, but then when I come back online, have it like kind of sync up. But if like other things have happened like while I've been offline, like merging that all together. I don't know. I'd love to like figure out like what the good approach for that is. Like, do you do all event-based stuff and you kind of replay the
yeah.
events, but then how do you deal with like conflicts and stuff? I don't know.
This
It's
is
crazy.
actually this is one of the first things that a lot of people asked for. So like there's a whole like ecosystem. We built the marketplace for plugins and all that stuff. I just released last week, probably the most desired plugin. I have to do a video on it because I don't think a lot of people know that it's out there. So by default, Laravel native PHP ships with a local SQLite database. So if you're doing eloquent queries and storing stuff just base, not through an API, it's going to store on your user's device. The other thing is you don't really need your user to authenticate against a database because it's on the device. So if you're going to do that, you need to do it against an API if you have to do that kind of thing. So it's you don't need to log in or whatever. Everything goes in on the SQLite database. So it's offline first. So you don't need anything special to make it offline. It already is offline first, right?
Yes.
So then it's all right, so if I am offline, when I go back online, how does that synchronize? So you want to, this is what, and I'm going to put a starter kit or some example together, but you want a column in your database or in that table for last synced at, which a nullable timestamp kind of hack trick. And you want to store everything in your database and then sync it to the API. When it comes back that it's synced, you can either just delete that row and just read from the API, or keep it there and always read from that if you want to, or however you want to manage that part of it. But if it's null, now we have the background task plugin. So the background task plugin will allow you to specify a schedule, and then it will just fire off whatever artisan commands that you specify. And so I spent a lot of time because what's required in that, so both iOS and Android have these cron job kind of background, they have these inherently inside of them. You've seen this before with stuff. The difference for what we're doing is you need PHP to process that artisan command. So I create it's an ephemeral PHP runtime that just spins up. On iOS, it has to last less than 30 seconds, which is that's the only limitation. But we have all these constraints when you create that. So I have these chained methods, this Fluent API in the schedule, the console.php and routes. So you can say schedule job, whatever, sync data, whatever it is, and then on Wi-Fi or on mobile, any network, or while charging, all these different constraints. And the OS won't even touch your job unless it's matched those constraints, and then it will do it on the cron if it's matched up to that. So it's every 15 minutes, that's the minimum that you can do on both OSs. So you can say every 15 minutes sync data. And so the sync data job would just query, give me all of the nulled last synced at columns, or rows where they haven't synced up to the API, and then sync them up. And now you're guaranteed that you have internet or you're charging and they should just sync by themselves. And that's it.
This is interesting. I mean, I can make the problem even more complicated.
Do it.
But I can probably still think of fun ways to solve it. So my app, my partner and I both use my to-do app for our shopping list. We each have our own private to-do list on it, but then we have shared ones. And then so I can imagine with the shared one, you just manage row by row. But then what if you wanted, and I'm not saying that I want this, but what if you wanted to have it so that if I updated the to-do items name, but then Lisa updated the to-do items done status, it would be cool if it could kind of go, well, this row, for this column, on a column by column basis, basically, keep the most recent one.
So
to me, it gets really interesting in data and how to make.
So I had this when we were thinking about this, I was with Simon. I was dude, all right. So say I'm a CEO of a company and I'm on a plane and there's no Wi-Fi, and I do all of my edits on my phone for 6 hours on a flight, right? And I land and my whole company went bankrupt and none of my changes matter anymore, right? Everything doesn't even matter anymore. And it's trying to say number one, okay, I can push all these synchronizations to it, but so much might have changed. How do you reconcile?
Yes.
And it turns out there are ways, and this is actually done on the server, not really through native PHP. You just need the mechanism to do that processing. Because again, that data is centralized. It's going to be on the API. But there's a bunch of, and I forget what they're called, but there's a bunch of different strategies for which one to win. We even talked to the Thunk boys a bit about the verbs, because that's kind of another interesting sort of thing that you could bring into this as well, where you can play back events. I think you mentioned that. You can just go back in time and where would the source of truth be? And we were I think the server would actually be the source of truth. And your phone would actually play back those events to have their replica of what the current state should be. And yeah, it can get very, very interesting and very there's some cool
And then
stuff.
you can go even further. Like if you imagine something like Notion, where like each like paragraph could almost be a separate thing that gets synced. So you could have people working on the same document
Yeah.
offline and still like if two people edited the same paragraph, like it's basically like a Git conflict type scenario. In fact, using something along the lines of Git is probably actually a really clever way of resolving the problem, like using a similar, what does it use, like a Merkle tree and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It's fascinating. We don't have to talk about it right now, but
this is, I mean, that alone could be a really cool talk. If you had like 4 or 5 different demos for different strategies that get progressively more technically challenging,
yeah,
that would be a really cool talk, actually.
that'd be really cool. Because everyone, like the first one would be like, I know how this one will work. I can like, in my head, I can kind of follow this. And then it gets harder and harder. As an audience member, that's really fun, right? Where you kind of like are trying to solve it yourself. And then it starts to get to the point of like, I don't know how I'm going to solve this. And then you get like the big payoff and you're like, amazing.
I
love this.
Another one for Laracon US. I don't know if I have enough time to build 5 or 6 strategies on that. But the other thing is Reverb does work out of the box. If you have a Reverb server, it just works with this. Like that was one of the first things I wanted to test out, and I was like, yes, there's no reason why it shouldn't work.
No. Yeah.
We have a quick message though from our side sponsor here. I can't believe I missed the which side of the road we should drive on argument, Dave. Come on, man.
It wasn't much of an argument. I just, yeah, I let you have that one. But I was thinking, because, you know, Australia is an island, like it doesn't really matter too much. Like obviously we've got to import cars that are compatible with our road and all that sort of stuff. And then if tourists come over, they need to know. But for the most part, I don't know. I actually find it quite fun when I go to countries that drive on the right-hand side of the road, because it makes driving fun again, like new and different.
I would, if I were to drive in Australia, I would do it the way you guys do it. I would probably just go in reverse, so it feels better.
I would hope you do it the way we do it if you came here.
Swerving, dodging the kangaroos.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I literally have unfortunately hit a kangaroo with my car one time.
Oh no!
And it sucked. It really sucked.
Oh no! That's my only Australian I will do today. I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's okay.
So back to the app. You asked me a question today, and I told you I'm not going to answer until we're on the stream. And you were like,
okay.
I have the login and register button, and it's like behind the clock up here. And I'm like, aha, I got you.
Yeah, like, can I even like click that? I can't even click that register button.
No, I would imagine not. So we do have there's reasons behind all of this, but we essentially we can get the insets from the device. So each device, and whether it's like portrait mode or landscape, will have different insets, is what they're called. We can inject that directly into the web view, and we do that. There's actually like inset -- inset top or whatever, but we also create a class, native PHP -safe -area, that if you put on like your body tag.
Oh, like CSS, like tailwindy type scenario.
Yeah.
This is cool. So, first thing, I want to like make sure that my HMR is working. So let's get this party started. Yes.
Ooh, all right.
That is wild. That's like gone from my editor to my phone, and then the phone screen back to the computer.
Yeah, and like you're plugged into the computer just so that you could show us, but like I do it all the time with just in my hand, and I can, or on the desk or whatever. It doesn't have to be plugged in order to actually see that, because it's going through your Wi-Fi.
As long as you're on like the same Wi-Fi network, right? Like, yeah. Yep. That's amazing. Alrighty, so let's find the body. There's no body in here because this is the view template. So we need app.blade.php. Here we go. So we add a class here.
Yep, it's native PHP, all one word. Python
native PHP. Safe
area. Area. Yeah.
Cool. So that one's not a Tailwind class, I'm guessing, because my editor doesn't pick it up. That's fine. Okay. So
not Tailwind. That's our class. Like that's our
Oh my goodness. Okay. And that, hang on a second. So if I just put like a little X in there. So it moved it down from the top. It didn't move it in from the sides, which is what I would expect. For some reason, I thought I had gone in further. I'm like, is that giving me like room to scroll with my thumbs? But no. Okay.
So it should, like if you turn your phone horizontally, like technically, go on. What?
Turn it horizontal. Well, I locked. Yeah, hang on. I can do this one. There we go.
Yeah.
Hang on. How do I go back?
The back button on Android.
Oh, of course. No, but that goes back to here.
Well, because you're in the web view. Yeah. So that's another thing we have to consider, right? Is a lot of navigation for like there is no back button on iOS at all, right? So inside of our, you want to go back, you don't have a back button on the browser, so you have to build that stuff into your UI a bit. So yeah, you are
interesting.
No.
So if I change that back. Okay, so the safe area, interestingly, when it's not in place in horizontal mode, I guess there's enough padding in the
and that can happen.
HTML template itself, which so kind of like works by accident.
Yep.
Very cool.
So like
and in so our
we have a kitchen sink app. I had to get very creative with the way that I wanted it to look, and I don't like the way it looks at all, but it works.
Okay.
So anyway.
Now I've got the safe area there, but it's not. Oh, there it goes. Okay, cool. Super cool.
So there you go. So if you go ahead and register now, the way that Jump is set up, the way that it's different than when you do like outside of Jump, when you do like a full app build, this is actually going to use the SQLite database that you have on your machine right now.
Wild. Okay.
So if you want, like, and I'm not saying to do this now, but if you went to your browser and try to log in with the same user you just created there, it should work. I mean, it will work because it's using that SQLite database.
The SQLite database is on my computer, not the one on my phone.
Correct. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. Nice.
Yep.
Which also is handy if I accidentally press back again, because I assume that if I have to scan the QR code from scratch, it kind of like, from the phone's perspective, it's starting fresh.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
So there's that. So we could add, I think we should add a button. Do you want to add a button someplace?
Add a button.
It could be on the welcome screen. It could be in the dashboard.
As long as we can. The dashboard. We're logged in now. So, I mean, as you say, we don't really need to log in on a mobile app if we're not logging in elsewhere, but I don't know. I guess you'll probably create some starter kits. I think you talked about starter kits that are kind of a bit more mobile focused rather than kind of using a web focused starter kit that maybe doesn't always apply, but yeah.
We've done a couple of things with that in the past, and it's for us, things have changed so fast. We just like change things so fast that it's like, or we just discover more things that unlock really core functionality. So it's like, we're just taking a little break on those for a little bit, and then we'll get back to them when things settle. And I think they will this summer sometime, and we'll go back into some stuff. But so let's go ahead and add just any button that you want to. We can do the style. For now, we'll make a function.
Like a HTML button, like one of these type of buttons, like a
do a class. Okay. How good are you with Tailwind?
Oh, okay. Like we want like a PX2, a PY1. Let's do a BG. I don't know. What's my favorite color? I'm into green at the moment. Let's go like emerald. 500, text white, rounded, flex, item center. That seems pretty good. Let's see how good it looks. And so we'll say, click me. And that's inside a thing that made it not as nice. I'm going to move this like out here. Yeah, that's okay. Let's go like text center. No, that's not going to work because... Why does text center not work? I guess if I said like justify center. Yeah, there we go. I still know a little bit of CSS.
Could you do, could you make the font larger?
Oh, hell yeah. Let's go to text 7XL.
Holy shit,
Is that big enough?
It's acceptable. We'll go with
It's
that.
acceptable.
Yeah. All right. So we're probably gonna have to stop NPM because I'm gonna send this over to you in Telegram. Let me give you a set of code that you are going to need. And this is gonna go into your package.json.
Crazy. Okay. Package.json.
And you're gonna put this at the bottom.
At the bottom, like as a separate top level kind of key thing.
Yeah, right up.
Alrighty. Yeah. So pop a comma, paste that in.
Yep.
So just this, we're good?
Yes. What that does is gives us an alias so that we can import. So we don't have to put this line of like ./vendor in all our new files. And then we'll go back to the dashboard. And I think that's all you really need to do. I don't know if you stopped.
I haven't stopped. So shall I stop npm run dev?
Well, let's not and see if it works. And then if it works, then we're good. If not, we'll just restart it.
All right.
And then
so what am I doing now?
We're going to import some stuff. We can add this import to your dashboard. I put it in a Telegram.
Cool. Let me go find that one. Alrighty. Copy. Okay, cool. We have, we'll figure that out. That's probably just involves restarting. So we have dialog on off event and device. Now I feel like when I save this, it's going to like remove all of those because of my linter removing unused imports. But we'll deal with that when we get to it.
Okay.
So what am I doing with these imports?
All right. I'll give you one more function. You're going to wire that button up to call this function.
Okay, let me copy that one. So this will go in my script setup area. I haven't written Vue for a little while, but hopefully I'm okay. Open flashlight. Okay, this is cool. Yeah. So that's going to call device flashlight.
And the other ones, like if it gets rid of the other ones, that's not a big deal. Like right now.
And so I guess like at click, yeah, like open flashlight.
Yeah, that should do it.
Okay.
So let's see if that works.
So I'm guessing it's not going to work because of the imports, but let's like try it. So hang on, let me get my screen so we can see the phone. Let's try it. I'm guessing it's not going to work. Click me. Yeah. First try.
No way. Yeah. Cool. That works. All right. Success.
That is, I don't know. Sometimes the little things when they happen through your control are like the best.
I tell this story of like when I first started like trying to compile PHP for Android, right? And then we finally got it booting up. Finally, like booting with that PHP version and just like running like an eval, a PHP eval, right? And then doing our own extension to get something. This was the very first function. And I say like, I felt like, remember that movie Castaway, Tom Hanks?
Yeah.
Remember when he gets off the island and he's back in the hotel at the very end of the movie and he's just like with that little lighter and he's just like, because it took him days and days or months.
Fire.
Yeah, it's like in one click, you know, like, yes, you know, that's the story. There you go. So cool. We got it. That was way good. That was a great demo. That makes me happy. Let's do something else. You want to do another function?
Yes.
Let's do, got another one here. We can do like battery info.
Okay.
So this is on the device. Yeah. So this does a couple of them actually. So this is battery info.
Let's paste this in so we can show everybody. So getting battery info. So we're going to await the device get battery info. We're going to parse it. We're going to toast a dialog with the battery level. That's cool. Okay.
That is another native. So it's going to use your native toast on Android.
Interesting. All right. Now what I want to do is have another button. And so this first one is going to be toggle flashlight. This one is battery info. And what did we call the get battery info? Is that what it's called?
Put that in it,
I don't know
though.
why
I think that's
autocomplete
it.
wasn't helping me, but let's try saving that. Okay, cool. Maybe my text was a little bit big, but that's okay. So on my phone again, battery info, battery level 0.8%. See, that's maths, not math thing, but that is actually probably
80%. Is that right?
it is. Well, yeah, we can see at the top here it's at 80%. So we need to
Yep.
multiply that. Now the plus signs in
Actually,
JavaScript
I
always
think I
get
saw
me.
it today because on iOS that actually shows it would have shown 80. So there's actually I have to normalize it between the two OSs. I have to go back and fix that, but don't tell me.
80%. There we go.
All right.
Super cool. And so the icon that shows up here, can we like control this, or is this always like the icon of the app?
Yeah, it's always the icon of the app. There probably are ways. I haven't really looked into that. Honestly,
Okay.
I think that the OS just wants to use whatever app you're running in. But if you have like your own app, your own to-do list app, right, and you have an icon for
Yeah.
that, it's going to use that one. So by
Nice.
default, and I can look into seeing if that's something that I'm sure you can customize that. I would be surprised if you couldn't.
Yeah, I wonder like what else you can do with like dialogue. Like, can you make it go at the top, at the side, or is it like really limited to, you know, Google says this is what a dialogue is and this is what it is, or can you actually kind of like control it a little bit more?
The toast is where it is. That's
Yeah.
for location. They do that. Our dialogue API has a couple of other things on it, and then the device info or the battery info. It also has a is charging in Pascal text,
Cool.
so you can see if it is charging or not charging. And what's
So
nice
we
is
could
like
say battery dot is charging. Yeah, let's let Copilot solve that. That's cool. Okay, so my JavaScript is not good because ternaries, I guess. Hey, that's cool. And I can't unplug it because then we'll lose the screen. But
yeah.
I believe that it will say that it is not charging, or that it won't say anything, I guess. That's cool. Okay. And so, like, why do you want the battery level? Like, I guess if you're trying to be mindful of the user's battery, or maybe like you want to warn them, like you're about to navigate in the bush on this, like, you know, crazy journey, and you've only got like 10% battery, maybe don't navigate deep into the bush.
So our stance on any of these is not really like what would you want to use this for. It's like what is available to us, because you could build an app that is just about battery management, right? Like there could be a management app, and you need to know and monitor these things and report stuff or whatever.
Of course, yeah. I mean, 100%. It's up to the developer to figure out how to use all these powerful tools. But yeah, and there's so many interesting things like that you could do with it. I love it.
And there's some that won't work on. Let me pull up mine so I can go through. Actually, I'll go through the other ones. There's some that just won't work with jump, because so anything that's filed does anything with file. Like you can do camera and do camera.getPhoto and open your camera and take a picture, and we can get the path back. Actually, that may, I don't know if that'll actually work. It won't work in jump. You could open your camera and take a picture and then see like the absolute path on your device of what that's going to actually, what that would be if you wanted to do that. There's location, and there's a ton of stuff. I think there's like 20 different plugins that we've got out in the wild right now. We've got a bunch we've got to approve as well. We've got a bunch of Bluetooth plugins, in-app purchases and wallet, and like a bunch of third-party things that we're bringing back in soon too. So I'm pulling up some just to get some ideas here.
Yes.
I think we should try the camera. Let's do the camera. I might my own API here, but that's all right. We'll work through it. So it is, if you import camera from
from this one over here.
Yep.
Camera, yeah.
Yep. And then let's make another button that does camera.getPhoto.
So like we'll go like take photo. Guess it needs to be async.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, this is looking pretty good, but I don't want to write everything. Let's like, so we're gonna await the camera.
Yep. So,
and I guess those things are pretty cool, but let's just like not do that to start with.
So this goes into like a whole other line of different. This is actually probably one of the best things that I could get through to you that is important to know about how this works. So when you start the camera, right, we don't want any PHP process spinning, waiting for that to happen, because that could melt your battery and like overheat the, like it's just a bunch. So there's a handful of things that we call asynchronous functions, this being one of them. So all that this does is going to tell your device, hey, open the camera. Then when you're done with taking the picture, what that does is sends back an event. We push an event into the web view that has the absolute path to the photo that you just took. And that's why this won't work with Jump, because you would have to write that back to your own like storage or public directory on the computer, on your computer, and we're just not supporting that right now, which I don't think we need to. But inside of a native PHP app that's compiled, you have full access to that. You have like your whole Laravel directory on the device. So we just we give you back that path. We actually have a file. Everybody has a file facade, but we have a file facade that's like file move, file copy. So you just take it from the app's URL and copy it or move it into, and it goes into like a cache directory by default. That will just, the OS will clean up its own cache, so you don't have to worry about that. But you put it into your public directory and we symlink that, or you put it into storage actually, and we symlink that into public. Every time you open up the app, it creates that symlink for you. So it's just the storage symlinking. Then it's just available as an asset, and you just have it as an image as you would inside of Laravel. So it's very Laravel centric and very Laravel friendly, the way you would expect it to work, and it's just available there. But that's kind of that whole flow storyboard to mental have. So that's what, if you remember the imports at the top, we had on and off and events and all that stuff. On. So with Vue, we have an on-mounted and an on-unmounted lifecycle hook. So you want to use anything that's going to be like a callback listener for any of these asynchronous functions. You want in the on-mounted, and then just as like good developers, we should always like on unmounted, we should off those. We should, stop listening for them, so that when you switch pages or something, you're not listening for those anymore. But we can get to that. I think we should get the camera opening first, and then with the picture, you won't be able, you're not listening to it yet, and then we'll add the listener event into it, and we can work on that.
Okay. So this by itself is like kind of all we need to open the camera.
Yep.
And so I guess like if I need another button, and if I want to see like the result of this, like console.log would be like the common way of doing it.
I don't think that will actually return any result from that, because remember, that's just telling the OS open the camera. That's it. We're just signaling to the OS, you do the camera thing.
Because we're like awaiting it, when does like execution return to like here? Is that like after the photo is either taken or canceled, or does it like kind of?
I should play more with JavaScript. I think that it terminates right after that. As soon as that, I don't know. Let's find out. Let's console.log or alert it or something. Let's see what happens.
So where do we see console.log though in this whole story? Like where's the console go to?
That's true. It would have to be, for this case, it would be in like Chrome, that Chrome inspect that I was showing you, but it's not in the build.
So if we did, how do I create like state in Vue again? If I went like use, it's like ref, right?
Yeah.
So if I said const result is a ref, and I just set it to null by default, I'm guessing I need to import
ref
that one. That's from Vue.
Make me feel old, Jess.
Sorry?
You make me feel old. Remember and this is V3.
This is V3. So I've got two things. Now I'm trying to figure out. So if I get that back, I'm just going to say output so I don't have to think about this. So then I can say
DD. No, you can't DD in JavaScript.
I have an idea for this part, but how do I set on output again? Do I literally go, I can't go, output of value? I guess, equals result.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, and so then in like down here, my plan is create a pre-tag.
Yeah.
Because my memory is that Vue will automatically like JSON encode this. In React, you've got to like call JSON.stringify or whatever, but I think this works. So if I save this, I better create a button that actually does this. So I don't want to lose my other buttons because they're fun. So take photo. Alrighty, so take photo is not doing anything because I probably did something wrong.
Let me see.
So click take photo. As a sanity check, I'm going to say output.value equals taking photo and comment those out for a second.
Is that black on black? Will you even see that? Is the pre?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. So if I said text white, so let's set this initial value to waiting. All right, so that's waiting. And then setting output.value to taking photo. So I click take photo, it says taking photo, so this is good. So now, so built my own console.log.
You know what? I wonder if, no, I mean, that should work.
So it doesn't seem to get past this bit.
I have a feeling actually for camera.
Uh-huh.
It might need to request permission. So I got my QR code scanner up on mine. So that should work. Cancel that. There are other ways to no, not without the console.
Yeah, like I want to see if there's like an error, but how does this thing? I guess like this is for building native apps. So JavaScript-based console stuff is probably like not even a thing in terms of Android Studio.
No, yeah, it's not. I mean, there's ways that you can convert into, but you don't have the jump app itself to see the logs from that. It's not.
What if I try
and
then catch, and I don't know, something like that seems pretty reasonable. So error taking photo, camera.take photo is not a function. There you go. We're getting somewhere.
Oh, it's
rebuilding console.log. Get photo. Sorry, that was probably Copilot. All right, let's try. All right, do it on the phone again. Take photo. No way.
There you go. Cool.
You can see my desk. All right,
very clean. Proud of you. Good job.
Let's do like this whole infinity thing. Image captured successfully.
Yeah, and that's what I would expect that it should do, because we send off the event somewhere else. So let's step in. Let's add an on mounted lifecycle hook.
Okay. In Vue. Okay, remind me. On mounted
function. Yep.
All right, it's completed a bunch for me. Let's see if it's any good. On event.camera photo taken. Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's right. Actually,
pretty legit.
Yeah, that looks right.
And so, as you're saying, to be, responsible developers, we would set an on unmount that does an off on these as well.
Yep, that's right.
And so, how do you target this? Do you have to store like this listener so that you can unmount this particular listener? Because I'm assuming you could bind like multiple events for this one event. So how do you like kind of unmount the ones that you've bound? Like, in Vue, I think when you bind an event listener, it returns a callback that effectively is the unmount callback. Does that make sense?
Nope.
So, okay, let's pretend I'm going to be a good developer. So I'm going to say on like unmounted. Yeah, so like this, for example, does this just like stop listening for all events of this type, I guess? So if I wanted to like just stop listening to, like, let's say I had 2 events for this and I only wanted to unlisten to
Oh, I see
the
what
first
you're saying.
one,
So if there's
how would I
if
like
there's
target that?
right? Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think number one, well, would you listen to, I mean, I guess technically you could, so you'd have to, I don't know how you would scope those. I mean, I would think you need those, generally those are going to be string based, like, you're listening for a specific string thing. I
Yeah.
guess like, event listener, what is that? Just, vanilla JavaScript, the event listener, or listen for, what is it called? The window dot listen for event, whatever it is.
Oh. Yeah, my
Yeah, so
JavaScript's a bit
how would
rusty.
you scope those anyway, right?
Well, that's why like I think the way Vue does it is when you set up a listener, it returns a callback that will explicitly unbind that listener. So you'd often go like, const unlisten. I think this is true. And then you would bind like an on unmount in here that just calls that function that like explicitly unbinds like that exact listener, as opposed to unbinding like all. But anyway, we don't have to worry about that.
Jess, you need to come work for us when you're done with this ClickHouse, Jess. Whatever you're doing over at Laravel.
Yes, I don't know. I get curious about things. So on mounted, we're going to set these. Sorry?
No, that's great. I was just saying that's great. I
This is
think
good.
that's all you need for this.
Okay. So I've completely broken something.
That's cool.
Or
That's
have I?
cool.
No, I think I have. What have I? Oh, I need to import this. That'll help. Come on, give me my buttons back. All right, let's just comment these out for a minute and see what state are we in.
I'm in South Carolina.
What would get us back to a good state? I guess like, I don't know. I just want to like reload this page. Okay.
Hey.
So if I go and okay, we haven't lost that, and then let's be good developers. Okay, let's try it.
In America, we
So
say
take photo. We have our infinity photo. Waiting.
No, that should have been
interesting.
Real quick. Let me double check those camera photo taken. Let me see.
So the fact that it goes back to the initial waiting state, to me, kind of makes me think that this entire component is getting reloaded because, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So what is, let me see again, because I'm looking at our docs. It's events.camera.photo taken is the event.
Events.camera
photo taken. Yep. Yeah, I was wrong.
See, this is the problem with AI, right? Like it just makes things up. And then what's the error one?
I don't even know if that exists actually.
Oh, that was just wishful thinking.
No, I don't remember that one. Yeah.
Alrighty, let's try this one. So take photo, taking the photo, saving the photo. No way.
Nice. So that's on the device. I'm trying to peek in here. You guys get to see my nose. Yeah, because that's exactly what I would expect. So it's in the jump app cache directory or somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah, cache directory. Yep.
That's super cool. Okay.
So in the future, you would use like the file system and move it, but you don't have access to the file system of your device, So
yeah, gotcha.
We could add one for the jump app that you can write to. It would like mimic that behavior, so you could still play with that code. It would just not be the same as a Laravel application, but we could copy that functionality. That's what we should do.
Okay.
Jess,
very cool.
You're building apps now. Look at you.
I'm building apps now.
So I think what's cool to me, some of the coolest things is like, all right, we have native stuff. All right, we got a whole bunch of native stuff out there. I mean, I did want to like read these off, the ones that um, we've got available. So we have the mobile background tasks. We have local notifications. We have these are third party. Some of these are third party. NFC read and write.
Oh,
Native
cool.
PHP mobile contacts, so you can tap into your contacts list and do stuff with contacts. Your calendar, taking screenshots from within inside of your application. Biometric scanning or authentication. Firebase for push notifications. Secure storage. So we use Sanctum for our API stuff. We tell everybody use Sanctum, and then take that
Okay.
token that comes back and use the secure storage plugin, because that's just the same level of encryption that like your bank's mobile app uses. So you take that token, store it securely so nobody can get access to that, and now you've got the secure storage. The scanner, QR code scanner, geolocation, press back twice to close. I didn't even know that one. That one's come out recently. Press back twice to close. I don't know what that one is. In-app reviews.
I'm assuming that when you press back twice, it'll close.
Yes. What would I don't know where I'd be. I don't know where I am. Store review, native PHP audio, app lifecycle. There's a whole bunch here. No screenshot, package info, mobile screen, mobile dialogue, that's one you're using, mobile system, mobile browser, file system, sharing. So you can share a video. If you take a video, and that's part of our kitchen sink app, you do a video, you hit use this video, and then you can see it right there. You can play it back inside of the web view, and then you can share that through to Telegram or whatever. Network, microphone, device stuff, camera, and the camera does the video. There's a ton of stuff already baked in. And what's really cool, I created a Claude Code plugin that is very specially trained on, as an Android, there's like a bunch of different agents and skills and plugins, or agents and skills inside of it. There's an Android developer, an iOS developer, a PHP expert. It's like Taylor Otwell level, PHP. It almost one-shots like everything. Actually, when we were in India, remember I showed you I was scanning the whole room.
The augmented reality thing. Yeah.
So that was all done with that Claude Code plugin. So you can just build whatever you can think of that you need that we don't have in the marketplace. You just go and build your own plugin. And
so these plugins, do they all work cross-platform, or is it like some of them work cross, some of them are kind of like, like I'm assuming the augmented reality thing is probably only available on Apple, so that one's kind of like limited, but I imagine a lot of them, you don't have to worry about in your code whether you're on Android or iOS. You just kind of like the dialogue one, for example, right? Like I don't have to think if Google use this one, if iOS use this one. Does it kind of hide that from us?
So the marketplace will show you that each plugin page will show you. We have a manifest file that we just parse that says like, did the developer build this for Android and iOS? Some things you can't do on iOS, some things you can't do on Android. Like it can go both. So if it can't do one or the other, then it will say on the plugin page.
On the manifest thing, yeah, cool.
Those things can though, like even if something's native for iOS, but there's like some third-party SDK, because we have it would be the same PHP call that we make into the device. The device then will just decipher like, oh, I got that call. This is what I'm going to do. Totally different code than what would be on the other OS, right? So you can implement whatever you really want to or can think to do. As long as the device supports it or there's a third-party SDK to support it, then it will be.
So these ones here we're importing are obviously JavaScript. Is there equivalence in PHP? Like in PHP, can I literally open the camera?
So you already have all
PHP
of that
directly?
This actually calls. So what I built, this is JavaScript, but it really isn't. So I built just like a little API endpoint that receives a payload when you call any of these that will just determine, oh, that's the PHP class I need to, the facade and method I need to call. So, and like there's
incredible.
There's a couple of people that have, they're like, why even go through an API if you're already in the web view, which is a native component? We can just push that right from the web view into PHP. So it's actually a smarter way to do it is that way instead of the way that I've done it. But yeah, it looks like JavaScript, but it really is just a wrapper around the PHP stuff.
I mean, to me, that's the cool part is like I can do stuff in JavaScript, but like I can also do it in, the backend code, like the PHP side of things. That's
Yeah,
super cool because often,
and
like when I've played with like native desktop apps in the past, it's been very JavaScript focused, and the PHP part was kind of like couldn't do much. I think
oh, no, this is
having
all
like PHP being like the kind of the heart
it's
of the
all about
thing is
yeah.
it fits my brain better in terms of like, the server is the thing that has all the power. The front end just is kind of like the view layer that creates the interaction and the nice experience. But at the end of the day, it's the server that's doing everything. So this fits my brain really well. I like this.
The other interesting part is like the events that we broadcast, we push those as JavaScript events into the web view. So even when PHP is listening for those,
Hmm.
or listening for some event. So if PHP is listening for an event, there's actually two mechanisms that we fire off. One is so Livewire has its own like JavaScript event listener. So we just like we mimic basically a Livewire event. So we just say, this is the event, this is the payload, and then you can do on from Livewire. I don't know how much Livewire you know, but you can do like on those attributes, like PHP function attributes. So on,
Yeah, yeah.
we have our own trait because it was everything we prefix with native colon, whatever, native colon. I think it's just native colon. So we just say on native as a method, and then you just pass in like the event class name. So photo taken colon class on native photo taken, right? That's it. And then you just
Super
run that.
nice.
And then we also hit that API endpoint or a different API endpoint with that. So if you just have a Laravel event listener, it will push it right into a traditional Laravel event listener. So if you just have like your listeners, it'll just hit that listener. You just have to be listening for that event. That's it.
Super cool. And
Fun
so
stuff.
I think like you're explaining this to me, I think in India or in Amsterdam. But originally, native PHP kind of had all the permissions bundled. And so even if you weren't using them, when you install the app, it just wants all the permissions. But now it's like way smarter that if you install one of these plugins from the store, that kind of adds more permissions that are asked for. So when they install the app, it only asks for the permissions that are needed for the plugins you've installed, basically.
That's right. And there's different kinds of permissions. There's like what the developer declares to the app stores that your app needs, or what your app needs to them. And then there's asking the user for permission. So
Yeah.
you might have location or camera software, but at some point later in your app's lifecycle, you want to ask the user for permission. Both of those things have to be granted. So the
Gotcha.
app stores were like, hey, you have camera software in here, but you didn't tell us that you need permission for that. And so people were like, we don't need the camera. And we're like, shit, we have to take that out then.
Yeah.
So, yep.
And so recently, native PHP went free and open source. And then a lot of what's the story with the marketplace with like, do you pay for these plugins? Are they free? Like, what's the kind of, what's the story there?
Good question. Thank you for asking. Yeah, so it's free and open source. We traded for stars on GitHub. Ideally, we'll get a bunch of stars. I think we're almost to 1,000. The marketplace. So when we went from version 2 to version 3, that's when we announced everything was free. Almost all of the core functionalities that we ripped out into separate plugins are free. We wanted those to become free. The exception is like whatever we determined would be like a revenuable sort of plugin or feature. So secure storage, push notifications, because you can like market to people with push notifications, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those we charge for. However, if you have so we were selling licenses before on a subscription. If you renew that subscription, we give you all first party plugins for free. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff that we give discounts on. Like we have a course coming out, Shruti. If you remember Shruti from India, she's doing a video. And so there's like a huge discount on that. Or actually, I think what it is, it's like $101. Everybody does $99 for everything. I'm like, we should make that that everybody leaves on the table. So we did 101, and it's like school class 101, whatever. But I think it's going up to like 250 or 299 or something like that. But if you have the subscription, it'll be $101 after that. So that alone
Okay.
would pay for the subscription. And there's a bunch of stuff. Whenever we come up with like an idea or deals or whatever, we honor the subscribers. It's the Ultra plan. You go to nativephp.com/ultra. So the Ultra plan is $350 a year or $35 a month. So we wanted to like
Okay.
kind of be in that same revenue area as well, but offer it to like a lot of people just don't have 350 to shell out one time, right? So, but they $35 a month, so they don't mind paying for that. And you get the plugins, then you get team support, you get priority support, yeah, a bunch of stuff like that. So that's that.
So you can get really far completely free and open source, and then let's say I wanted like just like the Firebase push notifications. What's the story there if I just want to add that like one extra feature?
So if you don't have, so like the cost, is that what you mean, the cost of it or what?
Yeah, like if I just want to add that one feature, I don't necessarily want access to all the things, and I just
If
want
you,
that one thing. Is there like a world where I can buy like that one plugin?
yep, they're all, I'm trying to find out what we charge. I think it's $100 for that plugin. And
Okay.
here's the other thing. It's $100 one time and you can use it on as many apps as you want to.
That's incredible. Okay.
$99 one time. And then if you have a subscription, I think it goes on to like 49 or 39, or it goes way, way down. So.
And then like when you build for Apple, for example, you've got to like be like an Apple developer and you pay them money. Is that still the case when you're building these types of apps? Like you still kind of become an Apple developer?
Yeah, it's 90. They charge 99 or $100 a year.
Okay.
And Apple or Google, they charge $25 one time. Yeah, I think it's still $25 a one-time fee, which is still, and I think rumors, and I think there's always been rumors that they're going to go to an annual subscription, $25 a year instead of, because it's like they are leaving money on the table, but it's Google, but it's Apple too. Like Apple, come on,
yeah,
guys, get your shit together.
I'm just like, I'm trying to imagine like someone building, like obviously there's a huge market to build like commercial applications, but also like open source. I love open source. I love the idea that people can build open source apps. Can people build like completely open source apps using native PHP and like push them to the App Store? They've obviously got to pay a bit of money to push them to the App Store, but they could host their own source code on GitHub. I guess if they're using one of the paid plugins, it maybe gets a little bit trickier to make like the app open source.
No, actually. So the way that works, we actually created our own Sadis server. I didn't know anything about this before, but now we know how to do this thing. So you'll see, like you never see the vendor directory in GitHub, right? You don't check that in. So you'd see like the composer in Composer JSON, you would see that it's using that package, but you can't access that without authenticating against the Sadis server. So.
Gotcha. Okay. So if there was a third party that wanted to contribute a feature to this like open source app, they would have to buy the plugin themselves, I guess, as well to be able to like fully run it and test it and all that sort of stuff.
They would. Yep. They would.
Okay. But it's only for like those specific plugins that may not even be using anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It's a little different if you're working on a team that's building like your own.
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
You have team support, and you can add email addresses, and if someone gets fired, you just take them off and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
we just manage that from the Sadis server.
Okay, very cool. Okay. And can you do local push notifications?
That is
like is that kind of like built in, or is that a plugin as well?
No, that's a plugin. That was one of the ones that I used to test my background task, because it was hard to like read. It's very difficult to read like the logs inside of iOS. Everything's easy for the most part on Android. I actually have a command to just like tail logs. I think it's native:tail. It only works for Android because iOS sucks. iOS doesn't suck in that regard. It does though.
It has some shortcomings.
But it's bad days. Don't we all though?
Yes.
Yeah. So For the local notifications, I use that as my way to like my background task should fire every 15 minutes while charging. And so
Gotcha.
my sync data command just pushed off a push notification or a local notification. So I could see like the date timestamp of that notification coming through. And it's like, all right, it's working. That way I could see visually that my background task was firing off. And all the it was such a pain because you would push code out to your phone and you'd have to wait and wait because you have to mimic like real time, whatever.
Yeah. And so we've used camera, but we didn't install a camera plugin. Is that plugin kind of built in? What's the story with that one?
Yeah. So the way what we did, and this took a long time for us to figure out how to do this. All of the PHP code to support all of the first party plugins as of version 3. So
Mm-hmm.
we've come out with a few since then, but all of the PHP is inside of native PHP core. The Android and the Kotlin and Swift code is not. It's in the plugin. So the plugin for those don't have the PHP because then you'd have collisions for the namespacing and all that stuff. But as long as you have native PHP installed, which you have to in order to use a plugin anyway, PHP lives there. Swift Kotlin lives inside the plugin. We did that so that the jump app could work the way that it does because we need that PHP signal, but we didn't want that collision in case you did install the plugin later. We'd have to uninstall it somehow from the core package. And we're like, you're not going to do that. Or have different namespacing. And like, there's a bunch of challenges. We were like, just leave it there. Like just the PHP, it's fine. It takes up 2 kilobytes or something. It's not a big, burden for anybody. So that's how that works. Yeah.
So I'm still a little bit confused though. Like with the camera one, for example,
Yep.
we were able to do camera without installing a plugin. If
Yep.
I wanted to like publish this app to the App Store now, like do I need to go and install the camera plugin to actually make that all work? Or
yeah. So all right. So I'll backtrack just a bit, take you through the story of it, or not the story of it, but like the flow. So when you hit take photo, whether it's JavaScript or PHP, it doesn't matter. We're hitting a PHP function that is calling. We route through our PHP extension that talks to C, that talks to a bridge function that. So now it's inside of Android and Kotlin, depending on which OS you're on. So that PHP function has to exist someplace in order for us to do that behavior. The jump app itself has the Swift and Kotlin code for that function, right? So it's got that in the jump app. So if that's fine as long as you're building your app and you're only distributing it locally in your house over the network.
Yeah. Okay.
So to go to a compiled app, you need to have the plugin to replace that Swift or Kotlin code so that it compiles with that side of things. But the PHP is inside of native PHP. Does that make sense?
What would be the next step? I think so, yeah. So if I wanted to build, like, let's say this app was the most amazing thing in the world now, and I want to put it on the Play Store. I want at least like my friends and family to have it. I mean, let's start with that. Let's just say I want my partner and my kids to have access to this app we've built for the house. I don't even need it to be in the App Store yet, but I want them to install it. Let's say they're on Android, so we have APKs, I guess.
Yep.
What would I do to just like get an APK version of this, I guess, to start with? Is that like
there are some
really
docs.
easy?
It's not terribly difficult. You already have Android Studio installed, so it should be relatively simple. There might be some env variables that you have to set up on your system just so it understands what a grade in Java home and which JDK to use and that kind of stuff. Once that's done, you run native PHP Artisan native. What did I say? PHP Artisan native install, and that's going to copy the Swift and Kotlin code out of the package and into a native PHP directory, so that that is where your code is always going to live. Any plugins you install, we have commands that just kind of move that from the vendor directory basically into the Swift, Kotlin, your iOS and Android app. For you, it would just be Android, and you can just install Android if you want to. So PHP Artisan native install Android in that case. And then for local testing or for local development, I mean, you could just plug in your phone and do PHP Artisan native run, and it will just put it onto your device. Now you can unplug it and go about your business and do it. You could do it for your whole family. You can plug everybody's phone in that way. You
Yeah.
could also like go to Android Studio. There's a it's under build and build an APK. There's one of the options there for an APK, a signed APK or non-signed APK, and you can do all the signature stuff. Or we have a command, PHP Artisan native package. And package, it will help you, it'll guide you through, like you do have to have some credentials, a JKS and that kind of stuff. We have another command for credentials. It's just native credentials.
Okay.
We'll say, do you have Android or iOS? And then it will it'll just walk you through like all the steps. There's a bunch of stuff you have to do for that to create the credentials. Or could use Bifrost, and that's what I would prefer everyone to do. We try to make that very simple. So if you have this set up on GitHub and you've gone through the testing and everything's looking honky-dory, you're compiling the app and you're pushing it to real devices and you're testing it out and you want it to go a little bit bigger, with Bifrost, you can go to bifrost.nativephp.com. You can sign up for an account. That is our SaaS. That's like the Forge or cloud of native PHP. It's where we want everybody to go to. That is where you would set up your GitHub. You just link GitHub to that repository to Bifrost. It'll also, there's like a whole video from yours truly for iOS and for Android that says this is how you go through the App Store to build your credentials and get all your credentials. This is where you put them in, and the next, there's like a whole wizard, you put it all in, and then you just hit deploy, and that will actually push it to the Play Store or the App Store, and then from there you can manage it however you need to. That whole process, we're actually about to make it much, much simpler this summer. We found some really cool APIs that will allow us to like drastically simplify. It's like an OAuth login to Apple and to the Play Store, so you don't have to really, you just log in to those stores and it will bring in all the keys and all the stuff that you need for that. And we're excited to get to that. But that's how you can distribute and build everything out.
And so, because I haven't installed the camera plugin, just to come back to that one again, will I get like an error when I try and build it because like it's like
that wouldn't work.
Installed?
Yeah, you'd have to install, like when you're doing that locally and you go to hit the button, nothing would happen because you don't have the Kotlin or Swift code to handle that. It would just error.
And will it error in like the build phase or will it error like at runtime?
No, I think it would all build. It would just, when you hit the button, nothing would happen.
Okay.
Yep.
It would be cool to have like some sort of a way where there's like, I guess during a build step or something that gives me an error to be like, hey, you've used the camera feature, but like if you build this app right now, that feature's not going to work, rather than like building all successful, I distribute it, and then I only find out when like, my family member goes and clicks take photo and it's like, nothing happens. I feel like it'd be cool if like you could protect against that somehow.
We would have to scan. We'd have to know where all your directories are that could possibly be using that and scan to see if you're using any functions that are in PHP. So it's not that it would fail PHP side. It would just fail bridging. Yeah. And there's like, you can't test for like the lack of something when you don't know what the lack is. Like it's like the absence of a problem, not, you know what I mean? That code just doesn't exist on Kotlin, but how do I know it's supposed to? Where are you declaring any of that stuff other than the fact that you're using it? But it's in the PHP, whether you're using it or not. So
yeah,
that could be, I get the idea for that. I just don't know how we would tackle that.
Like some sort of static analysis type thing. Like, I don't know if you can hook into PHP Stan or into something. I don't know.
Yeah.
In any case, this is incredible.
Thanks. Jess, the light on your face, the light of your face when the flashlight came on was like, that made my day. So on the first try, we didn't even have to rebuild or anything. It worked. There you go. Yeah. Very good.
And
cool.
We can do like, I guess we've run out of time, but we can do like native UI components and stuff as well. Like,
yeah, not yet.
All sorts of Perl stuff.
I'm doing a talk in Chicago, a 50-minute talk at PHP Tech next month. Very excited about that. We talked about it in Amsterdam a bit, and I've
Okay.
been working on it. I work like 6 to 8 hours on support bugs and, just, fixing things. Inertia 3 kind of rocked our world a bit. I pushed out a big fix today for Inertia 3, removing Axios, which thanks to you, yesterday when we were talking, you highlighted to me they have this Axios adapter I didn't know about, and I'd spent all this time trying to figure out whatever I needed to, and that just worked. So I got that out today. And then I spent like the
Nice.
rest of my days and nights until 2 o'clock in the morning working on native UI, which is it's kind of interesting. I don't know if you listen to Mostly Technical, Aaron and Ian.
I don't have a whole lot of time for podcasts. So I have not.
So Aaron's solo that I think just was released yesterday. He was
Yeah.
talking about how he was doing Rust JSON over the wire and how that was like a
Okay.
bottleneck, JSON encoding, JSON decoding. And then he went to something called flat file or something like that. That's exactly the solution that we had to come up with. JSON is actually very slow when you're trying to transport it around for different things. So part of the native UI stuff is that we are transpiling essentially like a JSON array or a PHP like an array into with C, so through our extension, so it's directly from C, so it's very, very fast, into a flat buffer node array, 160 byte flat buffer, essentially is what it is.
Okay.
So it's right into binary. Basically, you just think about it like that. It's going right from PHP into binary code, and then it's inside of a shared memory and map location. So it shares memory with C, with the native side. And so it's just immediately available, and it also knows how to read binary because it's binary. And so it's just very fast. So JSON was taking I've seen requests on a real phone, just passing like a blob of 6,000 nodes was taking like 5 seconds
Oh
to
wow.
pass.
Okay.
Here's an update to the UI, and it's just like you can't do that. Now those are very, very large, UI trees, but still 5 seconds. You can't do that. So now it's about 5 microseconds. It's 3 to 6 microseconds for the same.
Amazing.
And we're doing like diffing on that as well. So we're not passing like whole JSON trees or not whole JSON, but whole trees across the wire anymore. It's just the diff and getting that to be very, very, very fast so that it can be as performant as possible. And we're building out this whole API. It's going to feel like Livewire because it has to be PHP. So we have PHP classes that like render. They just create this JSON or this PHP array object, right?
Yeah.
And you can just use those, but you could also I created a blade wrapper around each of those. So we just hijack the render method and return that class instead. And so it just builds that whole tree for you, and it feels very, very Livewire like. And you can use like Tailwind classes because I created a Tailwind CSS parser. It just converts it into what native hex should be for colors and like
Yeah.
sizes and that kind of stuff.
And so in
So it's
this
a work in
world,
progress.
is there like no web view in that world then? It's like
Yeah, it's
actual
full native.
full native.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
you kind of don't need JavaScript anymore then because you're not in a web view. So you're using PHP to basically define the layout, what components are there, and that renders into native components and everything.
Yeah, and then there's all sorts of on-click handlers, or you don't click on a phone, so you press. So it's on press.
Okay.
You can name things the way that makes sense for mobile.
Yeah.
There's also transitions between pages, and there's a lot of animations and stuff like that I have to work on. There's also some really cool things that are available to us. Skia, I don't know if you know or heard of or played with Skia
No.
at all.
No.
I didn't think this was as big of a deal, but Skia is a way to do all sorts. It's a a 2D UI library. So you can do any 2D shape animations and stuff with Skia. And it's written in C++, so it's very lightweight and it's very fast, very responsive. And so I was working on that as a separate plugin that you can do all sorts of cool little design animations, or you can be very creative with that. And I look at a lot like the McDonald's app, and I look at like different banks apps, or like just different. I just very much pay attention to different apps, and like some of them
I
are
bet you
very
do.
right. Some of them look very like all the other apps, like just a dashboard sort of mobile app.
Yeah.
Some of them are very creative, and so we have to like allow for the creative ones to exist as well on as native in full, 60 frames per second and all that kind of stuff. So it's fun.
And
Yeah.
is it the same sort of story where I can kind of build the UI for iOS and Android in one kind of place, and it'll just go on iOS, it uses, the buttons look like this, and on Android, they look like this. But for the most part, I'm only building one app.
Yeah. They do look very similar. Let me see if I got it on this phone. I don't know why I deleted it from this phone, but I always play with it, and that's kind of strange. But I have it. I could show you. Like I'm working on is it on this one? It might be on this one. And if so, I can plug my phone and I can share it with you. I can show you if it works. Yeah, this works.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to see?
Yes, I do want to see.
You want to unshare your screen.
Unshare. There we go.
Share. Why isn't it working? What? Why? I'm clicking share. It's not working. I'll just show you. I'll just hold it up for you.
Okay.
So this is the current working prototype. Let me turn the brightness down. It's a little blinding.
Would go dark mode if you do you have dark mode?
I do. There's something I want to. Is that all right? No. It's still
Yeah,
too bright.
it's okay. It's very overexposed, but I can see there's a hello world.
Is that better? Maybe a little dark.
It's pretty
now,
dark, but yeah, I get the idea. Yeah.
So there's a lot of components on here, and I'll kind of show you as best as I can from this angle. This is very short. So we have like a list view, and I think one of the cool things with lists, so we have like pull to refresh right off the bat, which is not CSS or
nice.
like native. And this, like when I release, it's going to call a PHP function on the back that does whatever I want to do in PHP. So it's going to do that. It's going to just refresh. This list is generated from a JSON API that just pulls in 10 objects, and we're just parsing through that. When I get to the bottom of those 10, it'll freeze for a second, and it makes another call to get 10 more. So it's like lazy loading. So we had that whole like the bottom of that. So there's a hook for that too. So there's that. Oh, and then we have, I forget to show this, but I was working a little bit on like, how do we like delete stuff, or it's hard to do this from here, but
I bet it is.
And then what else we have? You can't read this, but I'm pretty sure these are like full screen modal kind of thing.
Okay.
And then this is a whatever they're called, bottom sheet. And so there's not enough content to bring it up, but you can have different detents. You can set them at percentages. So maybe you just want to open here, but if you drag it up, it will freeze here at 50% or whatever. So there's a bunch of like, let's see, I'll try to get real close and I'll show you. There's you. See the reflection?
That's me. Hello. And so this is Android, an Android phone?
Yeah, this is an Android, and then it's not on my iOS, but it looks exactly the same on iOS. These do, and it's on purpose they do, but this is using Jetpack Compose, and on iOS it's using Swift UI, which handles all the layout and all of the different stuff. But then we're also using like the Tailwind. These are all Tailwind CSS classes that we're parsing to, do all the different, so you can see all that stuff. Some really cool stuff coming up. So this, that's I want to fix that. This should horizontally scroll if it's going to take up too much space kind of thing. But these are a bunch of just different looking buttons. But if I go to dark mode, and I'll turn the brightness up just a little bit, and I'll go to dark mode. So boop. There we go. And don't look at my notifications. So you can see all the colors changed. These were all green buttons, right? So I've created this is all done, by the way, from a plugin. So I've created a plugin for all the UI components. And then that ships with a config file where you can specify light and dark. There's a light array, and it's got like primary color on primary. So what color writes on primary, secondary, danger, or what is it, destructive or whatever. And then there's like surface. So surface is like things you might want to use for like an alert maybe, or a modal pop up or something like that. And so there's like different, you can do different themes based on whatever. So I was playing around with that a little bit, proof of concept stuff. All of these buttons work, and they all like increase this counter down here. So this just shows like, this is just like if you've ever used, Josh Hanley says it, Livewire. Man, my mouse just stopped working or something. It's kind of strange. There we kind of go. Hey, Livewire. So we have like a public count equals 0, and then I have increment, decrement functions that work exactly as you would expect. And what's nice is just how fast, I don't know how much you can really see it, but it's, I mean, the call to process all this, even on this shitty $80 Android from Amazon phone, is 100 nanoseconds to do the PHP processing. It's almost nothing to, you know, time-wise and memory and all that stuff. So like a bunch of other like different UI. There's shadows here. You can't see the shadows because it's all dark mode, but we got icons, and we have horizontal scrolling of icons, if I can figure that out. Yeah, that's not really there. You kind of can see it. Different text, so like different text states, and there's like icons and loading indicators. There's different colors too for this. I think this is, I don't know if this is still, I had it yellow at one point, but it's not yellow anymore, it's white. But and there's also like actual, like the keyboard itself will change based on if it's number input or phone number input or email input and all that kind of stuff. We have these tab sliders. So this is, yeah, let me take it out of dark mode here for a second, and we can see, hopefully you can see this. This was my favorite thing to do. I wanted to see this for a long time. So these are sliders. These are native sliders, right? And it's listening for a change. And on change, so we can do like, it's hard to see this. This really kind of sucks. It's a horrible demo.
I can see it enough to understand what's happening.
Thanks. So this one is like, when I release, you can see the value, the number below it. When I release, it will change the value. So it changed. You kind of could see that. So I'll change, let me slide this up. All right, so whatever the value is there, and then I'll release, you will see it changed, right? You probably can't read it, it changed. And that's cool for that. So when you release, it sends a signal through PHP, PHP processes and rewrites native UI, right? It's finding the diff and it's patching the diff and all that stuff. The one on top though, it will on change, it'll do all that processing through PHP. So if you watch the value, like as I'm this, it is like in real time. It's like you can feel how fast PHP is if you really understand what's going on behind the scenes.
So that's doing round trips through PHP, like on every little micro movement of your finger, basically.
Every tick, yeah, of that. Yep.
Okay.
I wanted to see that. Cool. I wanted to see, like, is it going to crash? Is it going to be dreadfully slow, or is it going to be responsive? And it's, yeah, we're still seeing that. It's about 5. That's about 5 microseconds for that. We got toggles. Here, I'll show you a couple more toggles and checkboxes. And let me get rid of the that thing. Toggles. It's still too bright, isn't it? I'm sorry. You're probably getting dizzy.
That's all right.
Maybe two.
And so is there somewhere like I can see this kitchen sink so that I can kind of get an idea of like what's possible? Like,
yeah,
can I install this app?
Questions. Yes. So the most recent of this is not pushed up right now, but there is, you can go to github.com/nativephp/super-native. And that's a Laravel project that's using the plugin. So all this is going to be open source. We're building this in public. It's all going to be free. We're not charging for the plugin. We want everybody to use super native stuff. But that's where the latest that I push is at. So I should push this in case something happens to my computer. But Yeah, there's not super like other super exciting things. The rest of this progress bars and some images and flex stuff. It's mostly just like little UI stuff. So not anything crazy cool. There's button groups and tabs and that kind of thing. But it's a work in progress for the UI components. What's really nice is once you have the components and they're really like rock solid, you have to, there's a lot of different variations and like they have some weird subtleties to each one of them, but you can tell Claude, hey, here's a whole bunch of components. Go create the Facebook clone Facebook app for me. And it's like, it's not on my phone right now. I wish I could show you, but it's like,
No, I
it's like,
remember you showed me this in Amsterdam there.
yeah, Amsterdam. Yeah. Yeah.
It
And
was
it's like,
mind blowing.
and it's even better with the newer because I spent a lot more time like really honing in on the component. And the components are like building blocks, right? So like I could make a Swift UI component that you reference from like Blade, or it is Blade, that is like a checkbox, right? And it's got a box and it's got a space and it's got some text. And when you click on the text, it's actually the whole thing is a button technically. You click on the text and it checks or unchecks the check mark. Or I can give you all the pieces for the checkbox itself, whatever space
Yep.
the text, and you can build whatever kind of UI you're thinking to build. So we were going down that one path of like, we'll build checkboxes. And now it's like, we can do it. It's not like we can't do it. We can build another plugin. Maybe we'll charge for that. So it's like a bunch of stuff that you would have to build out. You have all the pieces to do it, or you could just use what we put together for you. So we're still strategizing some of those things, but that's where we're going with that stuff. Yeah.
This is so cool. I really want to build mobile apps now.
Well, I want you to also. That would be great. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, I'm always all ears. Whatever will make this better and put it into more people's hands. That's what I'm all about.
Awesome. I want to rebuild my to-do app. And it's funny because people build to-do apps, but like I legitimately use mine every day. Like it's my daily to-do list, it's shared shopping list, all that sort of stuff. I love that it's mine, it's self-hosted,
It's
all that stuff.
web-based.
So to be able to build like a native version of that is going to be really cool. And the offline support is like a big one, right? Like, you know, when I go on planes and that, I don't have my to-do list, which like kind of sucks. So
Yep.
yeah, this is gonna be fun.
If you need help, let me know.
I will. Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I want you to be successful. I want you to be like, hey, Taylor, you don't have a to-do app, do you? I bet you don't. And then he's like, where did you get that awesome to-do app? I got to learn native PHP. That's what should happen.
Yep. I could totally see that happening.
Well, Jess, we are a bit over our time, but that's all right. It's been exciting and adventurous. And
I honestly wish we could keep going all day. Hey.
I know. I need some water and I need to check on my son too. So I'm sure he's fine. He's 16, but he needs a kick in the butt every once in a while, you know.
What time is it for you now?
It is 9:06. So not terribly
okay.
PM. Yeah.
Nice.
So
cool. This is really fun.
We'll do it again. We'll do it again. I hope Simon goes out of town again soon, so we can. I'll have you come on.
Hijack.
Maybe Marcel. And I'm like, nah. Who likes Marcel? No, I'm just
I
kidding.
like Marcel.
He keeps trying to get me to go to the concert in Germany I went to last year. It was so fun. It was so fun. One of these days. I think I'm just too busy with Japan, and then there's something else unannounced that will come out. It's just a couple weeks after that I'm going to also.
Any hints?
No, I can't. I'm not going to say anything until.
Okay.
Yeah. Give them the respect. Yeah.
This is like who's announcing? Like you or someone else?
It's a talk I submitted and they accepted, and I don't know when they will, but they will. So there you go. I knew ahead of time, but can't. Yeah. Japan though. Japan's gonna be awesome. Japan will be fun. Yes. That's coming up very soon. I go right from Chicago to Japan, and yeah, we're gonna snort some lines of wasabi together and chase it with soy sauce. You like sushi?
Yeah, nah. I love sushi. I love wasabi, but I don't know that I want to snort the wasabi.
No, that's jackass. I won't do that. I'm not that crazy. Should be fun though. Should be fun. Should be a good time. We've got to start
Yes.
talking about our talk. Do you know what you're presenting? Are you presenting on Night Watch?
Yeah, like kind of like how we built it, like more in depth on the ClickHouse stuff. Yeah,
Cool.
it's gonna be good.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Always love talking about all the data and some
Yeah.
of the interesting challenges we had to solve with all of the data and all that sort of stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Jess, thank you so much. First
Thank
guest
you for
ever
having
on
me.
Native PHP live stream. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Thank you
All
so
right.
much. Everybody,
Thanks, everyone.
whoever's left, my dad says thank you, Jess. So there you go.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you later. Take care.
All righty. See ya.